26 innocent people lost their lives, Madam. TRF, a known proxy of Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility for the attack, further confirming the continued threat of Pakistan-backed proxy warfare in Jammu and Kashmir. India's response was one of necessary deterrence, not retaliation. With remarkable precision and restraint, the armed forces avoided civilian and military zones to strike 9 identified terrorist facilities, reflecting India's adherence to international norms even under severe provocation from Pakistan, Madam. In a sharp contrast, Pakistan responded with indiscriminating shelling along the LOC, leading to civilian deaths in Poonch and Rajouri. Madam, we applaud the Indian Armed Forces for their precise execution of Operation Sindoor, made possible by the integration of cutting-edge technology. The use of night vision drones, satellite tracking, and modern guided weaponry ensured that every strike was swift, deliberate, and accurate. The entire mission was completed in less than half an hour, catching Pakistani air defense systems completely clueless. This operation represents a defining moment in India's defense capabilities. While Pakistan relied on drone swans to overwhelm, India responded with superior unmanned systems that delivered focused strikes on strategic targets. Madam, another alarming front of aggression has been the surge in cyber attacks originating from Pakistan. In the immediate aftermath of the Pahalgam attack, India faced coordinated digital offensive targeting critical infrastructure, municipal portals, and defense-linked portals. Over 1.5 million intrusion attempts were recorded, with malicious actors attempting to breach sensitive networks, deploy malware, spoof GPS signals, and deface official websites. While the majority of these attacks were neutralized, a small number did succeed, Madam. So these events serve as a stark reminder that cyber warfare is active and evolving, and hence Government of India must now invest not only in conventional defense but also in digital resilience, Madam. Our party, Y.S.R. Congress, extends its heartfelt solidarity to the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir. After years of instability, the region has shown promising signs of democratic revival, Madam. The April 2025 Pahalgam terror attack was a significant setback, but the resilience of the Kashmiri people remains undeterred. Notably, the newly launched Vande Bharat train service has had a remarkable positive impact. Also, the phased reopening of most parks and most tourist destinations that were closed following the attack signals not only restored confidence, but also the region's collective determination to move forward, Madam. Madam, finally, we must take note of an admission made by the Pakistan's own leadership. In a television interview with journalist Yalda Hakim, Pakistan Defence Minister openly acknowledged that Pakistan for decades funded and supported terrorist groups. Madam, this is not a speculation, it is a public confession by the government of Pakistan. Such a statement confirms what India has long maintained, that terrorism sponsored by Pakistan is not a rogue phenomenon but a state-facilitated strategy. This should further strengthen international resolve to hold Pakistan accountable and reject any attempts to deflect, blame, or obscure the facts. Thank you for this opportunity. Jai Hind.
Honorable Chairperson, I rise to apprise this august House of the foreign policy dimension of our response to the Pahalgam terrorist attack, going into the preparations for Operation Sindoor and how foreign policy was handled during Operation Sindoor. As all the honorable members would appreciate, it was important to send a clear, strong, and resolute message after the Pahalgam attack. Our red lines had been crossed, and we had to make it very apparent that there would be serious consequences. As a result, the first step which was taken was that a meeting of the Cabinet Committee of Security took place on the 23rd of April, and that meeting decided that one, the Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. Two, the integrated checkpost Atari would be closed with immediate effect. Three, Pakistani nationals who are traveling under SARC visa exemption scheme will no longer be allowed to do that. Four, the defense, naval, and air advisors of the Pakistani High Commission would be declared persona non grata. And five, the overall strength of the High Commission would be brought down to 30 from the number of 55. It was very clear, Honorable Speaker, sir, that after this first set of steps approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security, that India's response to the Pahalgam attack will not stop there. Our task, from a diplomatic perspective, from a foreign policy approach, was to shape the global understanding of the Pahalgam attack. What we tried to do was to bring out to the international community Pakistan's long-standing use of cross-border terrorism. We highlighted the history of terrorism in Pakistan and how this particular attack was meant to target the economy of Jammu and Kashmir and to sow communal discord among the people of India. Our messages were two. One, zero tolerance of terrorism, and two, the right to defend our people against terrorism. So all the interactions we did, the diplomatic briefings, we called all the embassies for briefings. We interacted with the media. All of this was aimed at these two objectives: zero tolerance of terrorism and the right to defend ourselves, right to defend the people of India against cross-border terrorism. Now, the focus for our diplomacy was understandably the UN Security Council. And Honorable Speaker, sir, the challenge for us was that at this particular point, Pakistan is a member of the Security Council. We are not. So we had to achieve our objectives in a Security Council where Pakistan is a member. Now, our goals in the Security Council were two. One, to get an endorsement from the Security Council of the need for accountability, and two, to bring to justice those who perpetrated this attack. And I am glad to say, Speaker, sir, and I hope that this is appreciated and recognized by the House. If you look at the Security Council statement of 25 April, the members of the Security Council condemned in the strongest terms the terrorist attack. They affirmed terrorism in all its forms and manifestations constitute one of the most serious threats to international peace and security. And most important, the Council underlined the need to hold the perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors of this reprehensible act of terrorism accountable and bring them to justice. I highlight this, Speaker, sir, because this statement of the UN Security Council resonated throughout the international community. So when many honorable members asked today, where was the world on Pahalgam? I think the answer is there. The answer is there in a Security Council statement which says hold them accountable, bring them to justice, And that is exactly what we did through Operation Sindoor. Now, I also want, Honorable Speaker, sir, through you, to bring to the attention of the House a very interesting development pertaining to the TRF, the Resistance Front. When the Security Council was debating this on the 25th of April, and TRF had twice claimed responsibility for the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan defended the TRF. Pakistan tried to get any mention of TRF excluded, and in fact, the Pakistani foreign minister told his parliament that this is a great diplomatic achievement. Now, I mention it because today, again, thanks to our diplomacy, the TRF has been designated as a global terrorist organization by the US government, and the same Pakistani foreign minister who took so much pride saying, I defended the TRF, says, well, now if the US has done this, we accept it. So that is where the Security Council issue stood. If I could then, sir, move on to the diplomacy from 25th of April till the commencement of Operation Sindoor. During this period, there were obviously a number of phone calls, a number of conversations. At my level, there were 27 calls. At Prime Minister, I think almost 20 calls. About 35, 40 letters of support came in. And what we tried to do was to create a narrative, prepare the diplomacy for the launch of Operation Sindoor. And the result of that diplomacy, Honorable Speaker, sir, there are 193 nations of the members of the United Nations. 193. Only 3, apart from Pakistan, opposed Operation Sindoor. Only 3. If you look through this period, and I would be very happy to share with the House the exact positions of various governments, overwhelmingly, there was recognition that terrorism is unacceptable, that a country which has been attacked has a right to defend itself, and that India was doing exactly that. Now, when Operation Sindoor was launched, we spelled out our objectives. There was a statement, Honorable Raksha Mantriji referred to it in his statement, where we put out for the benefit of our own people, for the international community, that Operation Sindoor was hitting the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks had been planned and launched. We highlighted that 9 sites had been targeted, and we said that our actions are focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. And we were living up to the commitment that those responsible for this attack will be held accountable. This was the commitment which was endorsed by the UN Security Council, thanks to our diplomacy. It was a commitment made by the Prime Minister to the people of India that we would hit those symbols, those sites, those planning places. So today, when I hear many questions from across the aisle, I want to say, which one of you imagined that Bhavalpur and Muridke would be brought down the way it was? Which one of you thought? When did you even think of it during your tenure? Did it even cross your mind? In fact, on the contrary, you ruled it out after 26/11. So I think our objectives are very clear. We wanted to send a message to the terrorists. We wanted to send a message to Pakistan that do not continue this support for terrorism. And I think on the morning of 7th of May, that message went home loud and clear. Now, sir, during this period, there was, when the operations were on, when the conflict, when the activities were on, operation is still continuing. A number of countries, number of their leaders, ministers, others called up. And they called up because people wanted to know what is happening. People wanted to know what is the thinking of India. People wanted to understand what we are doing. And I would like to share with the House, sir, through you, to everybody, we gave a common message. the common message was India is exercising its right to defend itself against terrorism. Number two, the targets which were hit on the 7th of May are known terrorist headquarters and infrastructure. Number three, there will be no mediation. Anything between us and Pakistan is bilateral. Number four, we will never bow down to nuclear blackmail. Number five, we are responding to Pakistani military attacks because after Operation Sindoor was launched, they had started targeting our military facilities. And we will continue to hit the Pakistani military. If the fighting is to stop, Pakistan must request it. And that request must come through the designated channel of DGMOs. This was a common message that we had given to many people who had called us during that period. Our position was very, very clear in how we were approaching the progress of Operation Sindoor. Now, sir, many members asked, some out of genuine curiosity, some perhaps less, what was the international support? How much international understanding was there of India's position? I would like to share with you a sample. So let me start with countries who are known to be partners of India, Quad. Quad gave a statement which says, the Quad unequivocally condemns all acts of terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. We condemn in strongest terms the terrorist attacks in Pahalgam on 22 April and call for perpetrators, organizers, and financiers of this reprehensible act to be brought to justice without any delay. Now, sir, this is the Quad. Now, let us look at a different grouping. BRICS. Now, BRICS has China as a member, Russia as a member, it has Iran as a member, Brazil, South Africa, Egypt. BRICS also condemned the April 22 attack. It reaffirmed its commitment to combating terrorism, again including cross-border terrorism. Now, I would like members of this House to understand, if India is attacked, if there is a terrorist attack on India, and a country says we condemn cross-border terrorism, I think it is obvious to everybody what that cross-border terrorism is. So, I then move on, sir, to the Central Asia. The Central Asian countries opposed providing safe haven using terrorist proxies for cross-border terrorism, for terror financing. Now, I can cite statements from the Indian Ocean Rim Association, from individual countries, range of them. President Putin, for example, has said, he wrote to our president and said this brutal crime has no justification whatsoever and its perpetrators will face a deserved punishment. The president of Paraguay has said that he expresses solidarity and recognized India's legitimate right to self-defense. So the main point, the common thread, sir, which I would like to bring out is that number one, cross-border terrorism across the board has been recognized, all forms and manifestations, opposition to condemnation of Pahalgam terrorist attack, and the right of India to bring people to justice. Now, sir, in addition to that, I would particularly like to mention 2 or 3 other developments. One, the American designation of TRF. On the 17th of July, the Department of State designated TRF as a foreign terrorist organization and a specially designated global terrorist. Now, this comes in the wake of the extradition of Tahavur Rana, who was involved in the 26/11 attack. And when people ask today, how successful is your foreign policy? Where is your diplomacy? I want to say that Tahavur Rana, which many of you tried for so long to get, is finally here because of us. I want to say TRF was designated not because somebody out there made a remark. TRF was designated as a global terrorist organization because our diplomacy persuaded another country to do that. Now, our strong stand, sir, has resonated across the world. I was some time ago in Germany, and standing next to me, the German foreign minister said, India has every right to defend itself against terrorism, and Germany will support this fight against terrorism. Similar position has been taken by France. Similar position has been taken by the European Union. So, what I would like to highlight, sir, is that today, where Operation Sindoor is concerned, there has been, the world sees what it is about. The world realizes this is a fight against terrorism. It is felt that India has acted responsibly but firmly. Now, I would like, sir, to address one particular aspect because some members have brought it up. And this is regarding the US activity during this period. Sir, I'd like to inform the House that on the 9th of May, Vice President J.D. Vance called the Prime Minister, warning of a massive Pakistani attack in the next few hours. Prime Minister, in his response, made it very clear that if such an attack happens, it would meet with an appropriate response from our side. Now, sir, that attack took place and was foiled by our armed forces, and I think the House should collectively appreciate the performance of the armed forces in foiling what was a massive attack on the 9th and 10th, the 9th, 10th of May. Now, our response, which the Prime Minister promised, was delivered, and it was delivered with devastating effect. I don't have to say anything. Every member has seen satellite pictures of Pakistani airfields. You can see from the state of those airfields, which shown by the pictures, what was our answer. Now, on the 10th of May, we received phone calls sharing the impression of other countries that Pakistan was ready to cease the fighting. Our position was, if Pakistan was ready, we needed to get this as a request from the Pakistani side through the DGMO channel. That is exactly how that request came. Now, I want to make two things very clear, sir. One, at no stage in any conversation with the United States was there any linkage with trade and what was going on. Secondly, there was, please listen. Secondly, there was no call between the Prime Minister and President Trump from the 22nd of April, when President Trump called up to convey his sympathy, and the 17th of June, when he called up Prime Minister in Canada to explain why he could not meet. So I would again, मैं इसको दोहराता हूँ, 22 अप्रैल से 17 जून तक।
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मेरी एक बात की आपत्ति है, भारत देश का शपथ लिया हुआ विदेश मंत्री यहाँ स्टेटमेंट कर रहा है, उस पर भरोसा नहीं है, उनको किसी और देश पर भरोसा है। मैं समझ सकता हूं उनकी पार्टी में विदेश का महत्व क्या है, मगर इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं है पार्टी की सारी चीजें यहाँ सदन में आकर थोपे। भारत के विदेश मंत्री पर भरोसा नहीं करोगे? ओथ लिया हुआ व्यक्ति यहाँ पर बोल रहा है, ही इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, इसीलिए ये वहां बैठे हैं और 20 साल तक वहीं बैठने वाले हैं।
Honorable Speaker, sir, in the course of the debate today, some points were made by members of the opposition. I would like to respond to some of them. We were asked, why did you stop at this time? Why did you not go further? Please see who's asking this question. This question is being asked by people who, after 26/11, felt that the best action was inaction. Now, I would like, sir, to read out, because one member said, nowadays BJP members like reading from books. You get the truth in books. Sometimes you don't like what we read in books. So let me read out, sir, 2 excerpts from a book by the National Security Advisor of the UPA government. After 26/11, a chapter, this is a book called Choices. He says, on sober reflection and in hindsight, I now believe the decision not to retaliate militarily, but to concentrate on diplomatic, covert, and other means was the right one for that time and place. This is what he says. But did he even do that? Because 26/11 happened in November of 2008. What was the reaction? The reaction was Sharm el-Sheikh. Was that diplomatic? Was it covert? Was it military? Now, what did Sharm el-Sheikh do? In Sharm el-Sheikh, the then government and the Pakistani Prime Minister agreed terrorism is a main threat to both countries. Now, today, sir, people are saying, America is hyphenating you, Russia is hyphenating you. That is what I heard Deepinder Huda ji say. Hello, you are hyphenating yourself. I mean, you did not need a foreign country to say, please link India to Pakistan. Your own government was saying, India and terrorism is a main threat to both countries. And then they said, terrorism should not be linked to the composite dialogue. And worst of all, they accepted a reference to Baluchistan in that. Now, here is a country reeling after 26/11. And you are equating Baluchistan and 26/11. What happened?